Hi, you guys. Welcome back to the Sing Confidently, Live Creatively podcast. Estelle here. If I haven't met you, I'm an actor, singer, and vocal coach here to help you build confidence as a singer and performer. And if I haven't met you yet, why not? Come and hang out in our free Facebook group. Come and say hello on Instagram or grab a free voice consult with me. We can chat. It'll be great. And guess what? We can also implement everything that we're learning in this series we're doing this week, Breath Support Made Simple, in a group singing class. I have a virtual class coming up next week, next Monday, June 8th at 6 p.m. Eastern. Double checking that mentally. Yes, 6 p.m. Eastern. And I would love to see you there. It's one thing to listen to podcast episodes and practice on your own, and maybe you even watch videos on YouTube or TikTok and Instagram and you feel like you're learning, and that's amazing. However, it's another thing to implement it in real life, IRL, like with a teacher, and get that instant feedback and be like, oh, I can just shift this tiny thing and that changes everything, right? And sometimes we just don't know until we ask, So nothing wrong with asking, nothing wrong with getting that support one-on-one, and especially because a lot of y'all are not in North Carolina, in the US where I am, a virtual option is amazing. I am doing an in-person one next Wednesday as well, but that's for people who are in the Graham, Burlington, local to that area, North Carolina space, so I figured most of y'all will probably be wanting to join the virtual one. But yeah, why not take that opportunity to get that instant feedback? I would love to work with you, help you, support you on this particular topic of breath support, which eludes so many of us singers. Trust me, I'm the same way. I used to have such a hard time with holding out a note, especially high notes, but even sometimes lower notes too, even to this day. And what I need to remind myself, what needs to reset in my brain mentally, is the way to breathe as a singer is different from the way that we breathe as in our day-to-day lives. We just require more intention in our airflow. So yesterday's episode was kind of introducing this whole topic of breath support made simple, and I talked about how to focus your breath and how important it is to have that intentionality with your breath usage as a singer. Today I'm going to do breath support 101, where I'm just going through the basics of what breath support, what it actually means to have breath support. And yeah, it'll just be a little talking one. We'll do a little exercise at the end, but it'll be pretty quick. So get ready to learn and apply it, and make sure you go to creativelybyestelle.com/collective to sign up for the virtual group class, so that way you can actually implement this. I want to make sure that you're really getting the support you need as a singer. Again, creativelybyestelle.com/collective. It's also in the show notes. I want to make sure that we can get together, work on this together, and actually, implement this in whatever song you're singing. So, all right, let's jump into breath support 101. Okay, this is what you need to know about breath support. Breath support, first of all, let's define our terms. I distinguish between breath support, breath management, and even breath control. When I think about breath support, that's what I'm going to describe today. That's more so what you're doing in your body, right? Versus breath management, also in your body, but I think of it as how you are working through the phrase that you're singing or the note that you're holding, and how you're using the breath that you have. That's really what breath management is. Breath control, I think of it as you're controlling how much air is flowing and how much air is not flowing, right? Air pressure versus air flow. That's what I think of breath control. And breath management and breath control, I think I would rather use those more interchangeably. Breath support is not the same thing from my perspective. Breath support is not about how you are managing or using, or even how efficiently you're using your airflow. So what we talked about yesterday was really more so about breath management. It's more so focusing your breath, how much air you're using at a time, and how intentional you are with the air that you're using. That's more so in the breath management, breath control area. So what we're talking about today is breath support, which is what most people kind of first go to when they're having issues with running out of air all the time on notes and phrases. It's I don't have enough breath support. really what you need is you need to learn how to manage the breath. But let's talk about breath support so we can at least get that, foundational information about that done, and then we can move on to more of the real things that we're going to be working on the rest of the week and in the virtual group class, which is managing the air that you do have. But for breath support 101, this is what you need to know. The way that we create breath support as singers is not by singing from the diaphragm. I don't know who came up with that phrase. I don't know where they came up with that phrase from, but nothing about that phrase makes any physiological sense or anatomical sense. So obviously we sing from our vocal folds. That's how we produce sound. That's how we phonate. But we don't sing from our diaphragm. I think where it came from was just this desire to create breath support, and we just wanted something that felt more tangible. And so the diaphragm is in the thoracic cage. I guess it's dividing the thoracic cage from the abdomen, the thorax from the abdomen. So I guess maybe that's why, and it's you can feel your belly, and maybe that's why people wanted to attribute that to being important. But the diaphragm is important, of course, for singing. It's the major inspiratory muscle, so the major muscle for inhaling, for breathing in air, and we need it. But the diaphragm does what it does all the time. So we don't need to worry about controlling it as much, because it does, if it didn't do its job, we wouldn't be alive. It allows us to breathe in air, and it's super important for that. So the diaphragm is doing what it needs to do. All you need to worry about for breath support is you need to think about, on the inhale, you need to think about making sure that you can, rather than focusing on the diaphragm, because the diaphragm is going to lower anytime you breathe in air, you can focus on expanding your stomach, your abdominal area. So not only your stomach, but also the sides of your abdomen, and even to your back and your pelvic and your pelvis, releasing your pelvic area as well, releasing the pelvic floor a little bit. So that expansion in that lower abdomen area can allow your diaphragm to lower even more than it normally would. Okay, because by expanding your belly, expanding that abdominal area intentionally, just relaxing it out, not even you're pushing, but you're just relaxing it out, relaxing that pelvic floor a little bit, like you do when you're, relaxing your pelvic floor. By doing that allows us to get some of those organs out of the way, like the stomach, the intestines, so that the diaphragm can lower a little bit more than it normally would. That's it. That's all you have to worry about for the inhale. You can also think about making sure that you're relaxing your shoulders and keeping your chest open so that you can have nice expanded rib muscles, and your shoulders are not tensing up. So that's what you need to focus on the inhale, is just relaxing that belly down and out, relaxing that lower abdomen, the pelvic floor, releasing all of that down there so you can get a nice deep breath. People call this low breathing, taking a low breath. You might have heard that term before. So you do want to have that low inhale, relaxing the shoulders back and keeping the chest open. That's all I want you to worry about for the inhale, if you're going to worry about it at all. The more important part is the exhale, because this is when we actually sing. And this is where breath management comes in. But you can also create support by slightly and gently engaging your abdominal muscles, allowing them to move in and up steadily. So you can feel this in your body. You can feel when you're doing a sit-up, you can feel those strong core muscles, right? When we sing, we exhale our air, right? And we're singing, we can slowly engage those abdominal muscles in a gentle, supportive way. And that allows the diaphragm to slowly return to its normal spot rather than quickly snapping up as we release all of our air from our lungs, right? So it allows us to steadily support our voice as we are singing. So that's how it creates breath support. We can also create that support by keeping our chest open, and that creates some resistance as well. The ribs are also resisting how quickly they snap back in as our lungs release air. So that's really what we would call breath support, is really you're resisting how quickly your diaphragm returns to its normal spot by keeping the chest open, right? Keeping the rib muscles expanded as much as you can and bringing those abdominal muscles in slowly rather than just releasing all the air quickly, right? So you're kind of keeping everything expanded a little bit longer, and that allows you to create support. It's really that simple. Or maybe that didn't sound simple. I don't know. But to me, it's very simple. On the inhale, you just want to relax On the exhale, you want to engage, right? On the inhale, you want to relax and expand. On the exhale, you want to engage those abdominal muscles, keep the rib muscles expanded though, keep the chest expanded, but you engage those abdominal muscles, and that's helping you to create some support. This is just on a very fundamental level, but really we don't need to overthink this. I think we overthink it. I think we sometimes go a little overboard with it, but I hope that helps you just think about it in a very clear way. Okay, as I inhale, I'm going to relax my belly, my pelvic area, my pelvic floor as I breathe in. And then on the exhale, as I sing out, I'm going to engage my abdominal muscles. I'm going to keep my chest open so that I'm not, caving in on my lungs. I'm keeping my chest open, keeping my shoulders relaxed and back. And all the while, the shoulders and the chest are basically staying open this entire time and relaxed, because we don't want to cause tension in our shoulder and neck area. Please do not cause that tension unnecessarily. Okay. I hope that is clear and simple. That's really all that we need to know when it comes to breath support on a very basic level. Now, a way to practice this, a quick exercise you can do, is there are two. So one is to pant like a dog, okay? A dog-like pant. So just like, if you see a dog that's hungry, or I don't know. I don't have a dog. Do y'all have dogs? I don't. I'm not a dog girly, but, they're great. So you see a dog that's panting, right? They're like, right? If you do that by yourself, do that right now, sitting where you are or whatever you're doing, standing, driving, you can pant while you're driving, right? Or doing laundry. As you do that, you can feel your abdominal muscles are kind of engaged, right? You can feel that in your belly, right? Relax the shoulders and try it again, right? That's a great way to engage the muscles there. You can also do this on a laugh, like pretending like you're doing a belly laugh. Ha, 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 right? Pretend like you're laughing. Ha, ha, ha. Or ho, 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 like Santa Claus, right? You feel that in your belly. You feel your abdominal muscles engaged. Naturally, we do that anyway, right? So that's a great way to practice this, is on a pant or a laugh. And those are some exercises you can do if you're like not quite understanding or not quite feeling it in your body yet. Try to do those before you do your vocal exercises and your singing. Just see if you can feel that abdominal engagement as you exhale. Okay. I hope that helps. I would love to work with you on this even more, because I do know it's so hard when you're doing this by yourself and you don't have anyone to be like, okay, wait, but I feel it this way, right? Everyone feels things in different ways. That's why, yes, it's one thing for you to listen to an episode, and you can listen to so many other teachers explain this in, using slightly different terminology and all of that. And that's great, honestly. You find what works for you and what works for your voice. But I do know that it can really help to have that instant feedback, and just be like, just tell me once and for all, like, what do I do? Tell me once and for all, does this actually work with this particular song, this note that I'm holding? Because the way that you're going to exhale on a note that's up in your upper range and you're mixed belting up on this high note, it's going to be a little bit different than the way that you're going to use your air on a note that's like mid-range or like in your chest voice. It's going to be different, right? So getting that instant feedback can be helpful. So if you'd like to do this group class with me and just try working with me, it's a lower price than it would be to work with me one-on-one. And if you've always wanted to you're really wanting to develop your voice and not doubt your singing voice and not doubt how you're going to hold out that note in that song for that audition or performance, I would love to work with you. I'd love to help you go from self-doubt to confidence in your singing voice, okay? So come to the virtual group class, Breath Support Made Simple, at creativelybyestelle.com/collective. creativelybyestelle.com/collective. I can't wait to work with you. I can't wait to say hi to you. Have an amazing day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode and to this show. I'm so in awe of you for being here and showing up for your creative gifts. That takes courage. Don't forget to join the Performing Arts community on Facebook for support and inspiration as you continue on your journey. If this episode helped or inspired you in any way, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts and share it with someone. It means so much. Thank you again, and don't forget to keep singing, acting, dancing, performing, and living creatively. Talk to you next time.